want me to show you versus tell you? Vivian, throw anything out there. Boarding a plane. That's a great one. Because I just did that. So I can feel the breath of the person behind me on my neck. I'm concerned that the wheel that's broken on my luggage is going to break. I'm looking for seat and row 24E, praying it's not the middle seat. That's boarding the plane. Versus I walked on the plane. Because I'm in that moment, right? And you learn certain things from me. I'm definitely not flying first class, right? I am by myself, and I have a broken piece of luggage, which means I travel a lot. You actually learn quite a bit from me, okay? So let me do a couple ones that you were working with. I was a little kid. I don't know what that means. A little kid can be like 2, or it could be 10. Like I don't know what it is. A good way to explain how old you are is telling me what your favorite thing is then. When I was 10 and I had the most Pokemon cards of my life. Or don't say I was 10. When I wore, if you want to say you're little, when I wore sneakers that lit up when I ran down the street. Even better, I wore lined up sneakers that came from Target that were like the ones that everybody else wore at school. I read that one last year. I just like that. But by saying that this way, I know more about you. And also because remember I told you I have to read thousands of things. I hate reading like really vague stuff. Here's words I'm allergic to. Awesome. I don't know what awesome. It was awesome. I don't know what that means. It was fun. I don't know what that means. I was sad. I don't know what that means, right? It's also a little kid language. You want to put me into those spaces where I can feel it, right? So what are other things? Oh, you're in describing your parents, right? Don't say my parents are Chinese, because obviously they're, unless your thing is about being adopted, I can assume that they're Chinese, right? But that's not really what you want to tell me. Tell me what they sound like, what they look like at the end of the day. What do their hands look like? What does your kitchen smell like? Where do they sleep? How do they sleep? Do they see each other? Do you see them? Right? The more you tell me about that, the more I understand your experience. So if you say my parents work a lot, tell me what they do, right? My mother cares for other young people who she sees more than she sees me. It tells me a lot about that experience, right? Or my father has struggled to find work like many men that walk the streets of Chinatown. My father, which another one? Last year I read a really good one. You can find my father gambling in the park because he doesn't believe that any opportunity that would be available to him is worth his time. I mean, that tells me so much, right? Or come to my house at any night after 11 o'clock and you will hear the sounds of gambling. This is like, I've been there and I can hear that and I want to be in that room with you and it enables me to see what your life is like. Or, oh, here's another one. After 7 o'clock, my house is virtually silent because there's a 4-year-old child that goes to sleep at 6. That tells me that you have a younger sibling. That tells me who's your value. That tells me a lot about you, right? That's another one that I love. But it's not, don't tell me you have a 5-year-old sister. Tell me something, a detail that gives me your relationship to your 5-year-old sister. Because that's more exciting, right? I read one last year that was pretty great, an essay about a boy that was raising a little girl. And it started with, braids start with 3 strands and look better when you pull them apart after you tie the tie. Oh my God, you know that kid is raising a little girl, because a boy who's raising a little girl who is just a sibling and doesn't know that brands are 3 strands and they look better when you pull them apart after you tie the tie, right? That means that boy has figured out how a braid is supposed to work and does them often enough to know. That one detail, oh my God, I was all in. I want to know, right? So this is show me, don't tell me. Also, this puts you right into the meat of things faster, which leads me to get to the point. Many of your essays had, some of you didn't have figurative language, but it took so long that by the time we got to the point, you didn't have enough room to actually tell me the story. So get to the point early on. And the last one is make the progression clear. And I want to do this. If you go to the community service essay by Sophie Grasser, it's in class 5. I want to show you how progression works. Okay. Does everybody have their thing? I should have put page numbers on here. I don't know why I didn't. Probably because I don't know how to do it. Okay. Are we down? All right. Social isolation is something frequently experienced, but few know its name. Okay, nice, clean. Get it from the beginning sentence, right? I wasn't even aware of it until I experienced it. I became aware of it after I was gradually isolated by my peers in middle school. Slowly, I was pushed further and further outside the circles until I felt like I was miles away. This push allowed me to find Beyond Differences through my leadership class in 8th grade. Beyond Differences is a national nonprofit organization that works to fight social isolation. I was interested while the rest of them didn't understand the concept of the social isolation, since they were the isolators. Social isolation is the act of being socially removed from your peers. Okay, nice, tight paragraph. It starts with her and her experience. It gives a definition of what it is. I love the idea of gradually and slowly and miles away and push. Every single sentence, she's actually putting in the process, right? And then which you are also feeling it, right? And then the last thing, isolation, she defines it. Once I was accepted into the, also, she says Beyond Differences, and then she tells me what it is. So a lot of you, I joined AAA at CCDC. The reader who could be anywhere in the state of California doesn't know CCDC, doesn't know AAA. So you have to explain Chinatown Community Development Association, the largest social service agency serving low-income communities in Chinatown. AAA, a youth program centered around developing youth leadership amongst the youth who have been born and raised in Chinatown. So then I went, okay, I know that, right? Once I was accepted into the regional team board my freshman year, which later turned into a national team board, we began working to inspire students nationwide to end social isolation and create cultures of belonging for everyone. Okay, so we know straight off the bat what the mission is. She added in that thing as it was regional and now it's national, which makes me perk up because that makes it more prestigious. Then it says, we write multiple curriculums which center around stopping hate crimes against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, supporting immigrants and refugees, increasing body positivity, creating awareness around poverty, and creating safe spaces for disabled students across the country to feel seen in the classroom. Okay, real clear what she did. Some of you have, like, for your CCDC stuff, I support the elders. I don't know what that means. Or we hang out with the kids. Who are they? What are you doing with them, right? This is really, really clear. She's writing curriculum and she's giving you the topics. I use my voice as an ally to uplift and support these communities by ensuring that each curriculum is intersectional while not soiling or separating identities. Okay, so then she has her position, right? And what she did. Very clear. So a lot of you were writing about I do such and such, but there's no position and there's no like what your goal was. There's a difference between I went to the Super Sunday and I put out crackers. I don't care, right? You went to Super Sunday where we were in training elders on iPads and I helped facilitate these lessons and create a positive learning environment. That's putting out crackers, right? Not exactly. As much as you can. Okay. Additionally, I'm one of the authors of one of the many curriculums, Queer Visibility. Queer Visibility is available to over 10,000 schools through our website, where teachers and students have been accessing it since June for free. Its goal is to increase awareness about the queer community so people can look at the queer community with knowledge rather than just hate. Okay, so then she talks about all the things she did with other people, and then she talks about the thing that belongs just to her. And she's got that nice number in there, the 10,000 schools, right? So I know what she did, it belongs to her, and its impact. Through this organization, I've been able to meet with delegates from Japan and speak about the work to end social isolation, and to assist Japan in its national struggle with social isolation post-pandemic through a discussion at the San Francisco Public Library, as well as receiving the opportunity to speak on the national scale at the 2022 End Social Isolation and Loneliness Action Forum, was one of the other teen board members who represent teens in a space discussing ways to end social isolation. Okay, so here we're hitting all the big news points, right? These are huge. Now, so remember previously she was talking, it was regional, and then it was national, and then she was working with people, and then she had her own thing, and then now she's working with Japan, right, which is international, and now she's on a national panel representing teens on the national platform. Because of this organization, I will continue to fight to end social isolation, not just in middle school, but worldwide during my collegiate career. So nice. This essay, not a lot of figurative language here. Super clear though, and there's this progression. We started here where she defines it. Then she talks about the org she's in, about her roles in them, how they got bigger, how she did things together with other people, how she did her own thing, how she went international, and how now she represents the org national. Your essays have to be like that. So right now, I read a lot of CCDC essays that were like, I'm in AAA, we help kids and seniors, I put out snacks, or I do activities with them, and yeah. Okay, the impact of those programs are bigger than that. Your role in them has to be clear. I'm a cabinet member, I helped come up with the activity, I selected the activity, I practiced it, I managed the acquisitions of the pieces. I don't know what you did, but right now, it reads like you're writing a narrative form of a list, and it actually you have to take me on the journey of what you've done. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about any of these? Okay, I'm going to practice. Are we ready to practice? I'm going to practice a little show me, don't tell me. All right. I'm going to ask you the following question. What is a sound that you associate with home? Okay? And I want you to imagine this sound. And then I'm going to ask you to tell me what it is, but I want you to put it into show me, don't tell me what. So in other words, I will model it. The sound of dog claws on hardwood floors reminds me of home. Because before I even enter my house, I can hear my dog jumping off the sofa it's not supposed to be on and running down the hall and coming to the front door, and he does this thing at the front door because he's excited to see me, and it sounds like he's tap dancing. And so even before I come home, I know I'm going to be greeted by a small fat thing, but that sound is nails, like toenails on hardwood floors. Okay, so what am I telling you here? If you were to know about my experience, I own a house that has hardwood floors. I have a pet, right? And that I'm eager to get home to. This pet is important to me, right? And that the fact he's fat, I overfeed him because he's cute. So you actually learn a lot about me from that one thing, right? If you were to ask me about a sound that reminds me of home as a child, it would be a very different sound, right? For me, it would 100% be a mixture. My house was either filled with chanting, because my parents are my extended family, the immediate family, is very religious. They're very Buddhist, and so they meditate and chant every afternoon. And or yelling. And we were a very yelly family. I had a very violent grandfather who ruled the house with an iron fist. And I could know by walking up the stairs to where the house that we shared with like three other families, is that walking up the stairs, I could tell by two things whether or not it was safe in that house. I would walk up. If I could smell incense, I knew that they were in prayer, so it would be calm and quiet. If I walked up the stairs and smelled cigarette smoke, I knew I had to be careful because that meant they were gambling, right? Because all those guys would come over and smoke cigarettes and drink beer and gamble. And by the sound and the smell on the stairway, I could know how my night would go. Okay, so I'm using these details by saying these things to say that I was poor, I grew up in a big family for which there was violence. Right? I could say that, but if I tell the story through incense versus cigarette smoke, dog claws versus hardwood floors, and going up a stairwell versus coming into a home, an apartment stairwell versus coming into a home, you learn a lot about me quickly and in a much more interesting way. Okay, so I will give you a second. Think of a sound that reminds you of home. By the way, does anybody else have these things where you know before you get in your house how it's going to be? Raise your hand. Okay. That'll serve you well in life. Okay. All right, are you ready? You look terrible. Who's brave? Raise your hand. Be brave and I'll give you a bow. Not worth the bow. Waylon, can I start with you or did you have a low risk?
A sound?
Uh-huh.
Firecrackers, because when I used to live in Chinatown, the window is always open for ventilation, I guess, and there's always firecracker sounds just going off because people are just people.
Actually, I like that. If I was to use that one, the one note I would give you is firecrackers not on the 4th of July. Because the people who are reading it are not going to be, may not be Asian, so that they're going to associate. The only other time that people outside of Asians have firecrackers is the 4th of July. We have them like every 20 minutes, but the rest of the world only has them at one period of time. That's great, actually. Okay, Wilson, how you feeling? Give me a sound.
My uncle in his room sing karaoke every day.
That's good. All right. So what I learned from that is that pervasively Asian house, that you live in an extended family with an uncle. And give me how that makes you feel. Do you like that sound or do you hate that sound?
I don't like it. She's very loud.
Okay. So it's part of the function of having to live in an extended family. For some reason, Japanese people are obsessed with Celine Dion. I don't know why that is our go-to karaoke, but Japanese people's hearts will go on. I don't know why. What's your uncle singing?
Cantonese songs.
Oh, Cantonese songs. Yeah, I don't know why. Does anybody else? Well, if they do sing American songs, what do they sing?
They don't know English.
They don't know English, but my brothers don't know English either. Sometimes it's hard to tell they're singing Celine Dion. Yeah, I had a friend come over and say, "Oh, what song is that?" And I was like, "That's Celine Dion. That's in English." He's like, "That's English?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is." Okay. Yes.
I don't know the song, but I think my dad probably sang it also. But I think the distinct one I remember is like Hotel California.
Oh yeah, that is that one. Why do Asians like Hotel California? That is one. I don't know why. Hotel California. Also, no Japanese person can say the word California well. It just has an L and an R and yeah. We don't, because California is cat instead of ka, and it doesn't come out. Okay, are you ready? Enzo.
Yeah. Birds chirping through the day.
Talk louder.
Birds singing through the day, I guess.
But you have to put it in terms of why it reminds you of home.
Well, like, do I have to say what it reminds me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's like, every day when I wake up, it's like, I just hear like birds singing, you know what I mean? So it's like kind of like home.
Okay, so this tells me that you don't live in a city. Yeah, that you live somewhere where an open window would have birds singing. And I don't really, when you lived in Chinatown, were there birds singing outside? Because pigeons don't sing.
In the morning, you can hear the crows caw caw caw. You know.
Oh yeah, They're really abrasive.